Howard Cosell had survived everything. He defended Muhammad Ali when the world turned against him. He faced death threats for standing up for civil rights. He battled network executives and angry fans for decades. Nothing could touch him. Then one September night, everything collapsed. A single sentence during a football game triggered the biggest scandal in broadcasting history. What did he say that was so shocking it ended a legendary career instantly? The answer will surprise you, especially when you learn who defended him. Howard Cosell was born Howard William Cohen on March 25, 1918, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. His parents were Jewish immigrants who had fled Eastern Europe to escape persecution and find a better life in America. His father, Isidore, worked as an accountant. His mother, Nellie, stayed at home. They believed education was the only way out of hardship, and that belief shaped Howard's future. The family didn't stay in North Carolina for long. Before Howard turned 3, they moved to Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn was crowded, loud, and full of immigrants trying to build new lives. That's where Howard began to develop his sharp tongue and unshakable confidence. While other kids fought with fists, Howard used words. He read books, quoted them, on the playground, and never backed down from a verbal fight. He was smart, cocky, and always ready with a comeback. His ego was already forming, and it never really stopped growing. As he grew older, Howard started to understand that power of identity. During law school at NYU, in the late 1930s, he made a personal and professional decision. He changed his last name from Cohen to Cosell. He said it came from his grandfather's original Polish name it was changed at Ellis Island. The name change wasn't just about family pride. It was also about standing out in a field where having a Jewish name could hold someone back. Cosell didn't want Toberland, and he wanted to make people remember him. In high school, at Alexander Hamilton in Brooklyn, Howard Beckham's sports editor of the school paper. Even then, he didn't write fluff. He wrote sharp, bold opinions. Some students hated him. Some teachers admired him, but no one could ignore him. He wasn't afraid to call out bad coaching or poor play. At just 16, he was already acting like the tub roadcaster he would become. By the time he was 21, Cosell had earned 2 degrees from NYU, a BA in English literature, and a law degree. That was rare. He was smart, driven, and moving fast. But success wasn't enough. He didn't just want a stable job. He wanted influence, fame, a voice. His parents were proud, but they didn't quite understand the fire that was driving their son. When World War II broke out, Cosell joined the U.S. Army. He served as a major in the transportation corps from 1942 to 1945 at the New York Port of Embarkation. It was a huge responsibility. He helped organize the movement of troops and supplies across the Atlantic. A single mistake could lay entire missions. But Cosell thrived. He earned his rank young and became one of the youngest officers in that role. He was calm, efficient, and knew how to get things done. That job showed he could handle pressure and power. While stationed in New York, Howard met Corporal Mary Edith Emmy Abrams, a WAC sergeant. At the time, it was against the rules for officers to date enlisted personnel, but Cosell didn't care. He went straight to a general and asked for permission. That move required guts and paperwork, but General approved it. Howard and Emmy kept seeing each other despite doubts from her family, who were conservative Presbyterians. Cosell never let rules stop him. Note Evan in love. They got married in 1944 while he was still in the Army. Feuding happened in a Brooklyn judge's chambers. Their marriage lasted 46 years. Until Emmy died in 1990. After the war ended, Cosell returned to New York and opened a law practice in Manhattan. He quickly built a client list that included some big names like baseball legend Willie Mays. He earned around $25,000 to $30,000 a year, a strong income for that time. But something was already building inside him. Even while practicing law, he felt trapped. He didn't enjoy it. He'd pace around Sisyphus, pretending to deliver speeches to juries or narrating fake sports games. Friends thought it was strange. He thought it was necessary. He once told a journalist that he lacked sufficient mediocrity to survive in the business. He needed something more. Something louder, something public, and sports radio gave it to him. In 1953, Howard Cosell got his first real break. Hal Neal from ABC Radio invited him to host a small show on WABC in New York. The idea was simple. Little league kids would interview Major League Baseball players. Cosell agreed. Even though he wouldn't be paid, he kept working as a lawyer during the day and did the radio show on the side. For almost 3 years, he didn't earn a single dollar from it, but he didn't care. He saw ethos a way in. The show was light and playful, but Cole started learning something deeper. One moment stood out. Yankees outfielder Hank Bauer casually criticized his manager, Casey Stengel, on air. That small slip became a headline. Cosell saw how powerful real unscripted conversation could be. He realized that if you just let people talk, they often revealed the truth. That stuck with him. ABC president Robert Pauley later challenged Cosell to find a sponsor for a new sports segment. Cosell took Decalang head-on. He got the sponsor and launched Speaking of Sports. That show would end up running for decades. Cosell's hustle and sharp instincts were paying off. He wasn't just hosting anymore, he was starting to shape how sports stories were told. By 1956, Cosell was done playing it safe. He moved from light interviews to full-time sports reporting for ABC Radio. Most sportscasters back then played nice. They tossed easy questions and avoided anything too personal or controversial, but Cosell came in swinging. In one early interview, he bluntly asked a player if teammates avoided passing to him because he shot too much. People were enthused to that. He kept pushing. He listened carefully to every answer and always followed up if he thought something was being hidden. Some hated that style. Others respected it. Athletes like Tommy Smith, who gave the Black Power salute at the 1968 Olympics, chose Cosell for interviews because they trusted him. They knew he would let them speak freely and treat their views seriously. That trust mattered. Over time, Cosell became known for one thing. He told the truth. He didn't act like a cheerleader. He wasn't there to flatter athletes or protect anyone's image. He called out bad behavior. He criticized poor performance. He talked about race, politics, and war, even when people told him to stick to sports. Some fans loved him, others hated him, but no one ignored him. He was called the most hated man in sports and also the conscience of American sports broadcasting. His voice, with its sharp rhythm and clear tone, became unforgettable. His phrase, "This is Howard Cosell, telling it like it is," stuck in people's minds. Then there was his connection with Muhammad Ali. In 1964, the world knew him as Cassius Clay, but when he stepped up and told the world his new name was Muhammad Ali, most people refused to accept it. Newspapers kept calling him Clay. TV anchors avoided saying Ali. The backlash was instant and brutal, but there was one man who stood up and said the name loud and clear: Howard Cosell. On national television, Cosell called him Muhammad Ali. He didn't care that millions were angry. He didn't care that hate mail poured into his mailbox. He believed Ali had the right to be who he was, and Cosell wasn't going to back down. He knew what it meant to be a Jewish kid from Brooklyn who had been bullied for his background. Cosell understood prejudice. That's why he stood with Ali, even when it put his own career at risk. He said, "It's his name, and I'll call him what he wishes." That one decision changed everything. It wasn't just about boxing. It was about identity, respect, and courage. From that moment, Ali and Cosell were bonded by something deeper than sport. Téngame 1967. The Vietnam War was raging. Young men were being drafted by the thousands. But Muhammad Ali said no. He refused to fight in a war he didn't believe in. It went against his faith, and he wouldn't kill people who had never harmed him. The punishment was swift. He lost his boxing license. He was banned from the ring. They stripped him of his title. Most of the media turned against him. They called him a coward, a traitor, but Cosell didn't. He went on air and called the government's actions inhuman and illegal. He said it was wrong to punish Ali for his beliefs. Sponsors threatened to pull their ads. Networks warned him to stay quiet, but Cosell didn't flinch. He said what no one else would. He saw the double standard. Rich white draft dodgers went unpunished. But Ali, young, black, and bold, was made an example. Cosell called it out loud and clear. And again, they hate mail returned. But this time, it only strengthened their friendship. They weren't just broadcaster and boxer anymore. They were two men, standing against a storm. And then there was the magic they created on screen. For nearly 20 years. Ali and Cosell lit up TV screens. Their interviews felt like boxing matches. Ali would poke fun at Cosell's hairpiece, laugh at his big words, and promise to knock him out just for fun. Cosell would roll his eyes, hit back with sarcasm, and challenge Ali on everything. They argued, laughed, teased each other, and kept the audience hooked every time. It was more than entertainment. It was a conversation between equals. Brutally honest, but always respectful. One time Ali shouted, "Every time you open your mouth, you should be arrested for air pollution." Cosell replied, "You'd still be in poverty if I hadn't made you." It was bold, funny, raw, but beneath the jokes, they admired each other. They trusted each other. They knew the cameras couldn't fake that kind of bond. When Ali was banned from boxing and almost forgotten by the world, Cosell didn't forget. While others turned their backs, Cosell opened his studio doors. He kept inviting Ali on air. They talked about his faith, his decision to stay out of the war, his dreams, his fears. In one interview at the Houston Astrodome, you could see the sweat on Ali's face after a hard workout. But Cosell didn't ask about the fight. He asked about the man, and people listened. Ali wasn't a villain anymore. He was a human being, and Cosell helped make that happen. Then came the night in 1973. Joe Frazier was in the ring with George Foreman. Millions were watching. Round after round, Frazier hit the canvas, and Cosell's voice rang through TVs across the world. 3 simple words shouted 3 times. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. It was raw emotion. It was disbelief. And it became the most famous call in boxing history. People still quote it, still know about it, and still feel it. That night, Cosell didn't just narrate a fight, he captured a moment in time. A moment that proved sport wasn't just about who won, it was about what we felt watching it, and no one made us feel like Cosell did. Ali would later say that Cosell gave him a voice when no one else would listen. Cosell once said that Ali helped him become more than just a broadcaster. He became part of the story. Together they pushed America to confront race, religion, war, and identity, not with anger, but with words, with dignity, and with courage. In 1970, ABC executive run Arledge Medea decision that changed American television forever. He hired Howard Cosell to be part of the new Monday Night Football broadcast team. This was a complete gamble. Cosell wasn't a former football player. He wasn't even a traditional sports broadcaster. He was loud, opinionated, and had a voice that demanded attention. Arledge didn't want bland commentary. He wanted sparks. And that's exactly what Cosell brought. The NFL wasn't happy. For years, the league had insisted on approving who sat in the broadcast booth. Arledge said no. He stood firm, refusing to let the league control his team. And it paid off. Ratings jumped 50% in that first season. Viewers were hooked, not just on football, but on the show, around the game. The following year, in 1971, Arledge made another bold move. He replaced respected announcer Keith Jackson with Frank Goffard. Goffard had never done play-by-play before, but he was a football star with a calm, likable presence. Arledge wasn't looking for experience. He was building a trio. Cosell brought the drama. Don Meredith added humor, and Goffard would balance them out. It worked. Ratings soared again. ABC was charging $65,000 for a single ad minute during the game. A massive sum for the time. This trio didn't just change football coverage. They redefined what live sports could be on television. They weren't just announcers. They were part of the show. What kept people watching wasn't just games. It was the sparks flying between Cosell and Meredith. Cosell's sharp tone and Meredith's relaxed humor created a tension that was impossible to ignore. They argued on air. They teased each other. Once in 1974, they were both suspected of being a little drunk on live TV. The audience didn't care. They loved it. People started picking sides. Team Cosell or Team Meredith. Bars and living rooms buzzed with debate. Arledge encouraged it. He knew conflict made good television. The show didn't feel scripted. It felt real, and that made it unforgettable. Cosell also had a voice that turned simple moments into events. One phrase in particular became iconic. He could go the way. It was dramatic, it was slow. It was pure Cosell.